If you're thinking about selling your home in San Antonio, I want to discuss 6 different forms in 2024 that you need to know about that I believe, in my estimation, will save you a lot of time, hassle, and ultimately money in selling your home. Now, I have some notes here on these forms. There's 6 of them. I'm just going really off script here, other than the notes that I have here. So bear with me as I get through this, and hopefully I can get through it really quickly. So the first form here is the Residential Real Estate Listing Agreement Exclusive Right to Sell. This is the typical form that you're going to get from your listing broker to sign to get your house listed and put on the MLS. Now, there's a lot of information that has not changed, but here in the blue, this is information. This is new information as part of the contract now. This first paragraph, broker compensation or the sharing of compensation between brokers is not set by law nor fixed, control, recommended, or suggested by the Association of Realtors, MLS, or any listing services. Broker compensation is fully negotiable. Brokers independently determine their fees. So under this here, we have A and B. So you have 2 options here. Option A is roughly what has been common practice here, and which is broker fee with compensation for other brokers. Let's just back up. So I'm the listing broker. I have a listing, and I get it signed with the seller, and we agree on X%, okay? Or the seller picks one of the plans that I have that has X%. Now, under that plan, what I have there is an amount that I would be willing to pay or offer the other broker, the outside broker of the company, to bring a buyer in. It could be an internal buyer agent, but most of the time it is an external buyer agent bringing the buyer, okay? And that breaks that down here. So in A1, it has the total amount of the commission, okay? Whatever percentage or amount that is. Number 2 breaks that down, and it says how much of the commission would be paid to an outside broker. Broker will pay the other broker the following fees if the other broker procures a buyer that purchases the property. Real quickly, I look at this as if I'm a general contractor that's been hired to remodel a home. Okay, if you have a general contractor, typically what the general contractor is going to do is he's going to go out and hire individual trades: electrician, plumber, window installers, flooring, all different specialties in the trade to get the whole job done. That's how I look at this. That's how I view it. Other people have different perceptions of this, but that's how I look at it, and that's why I still like the first option here. And there's other pitfalls for option B to be aware of, but we're going to go over that anyway. But you do have in this contract the ability to say, okay, we're in agreement that we're not going to offer a buyer's fee with compensation for other broker. Or excuse me, a broker's fee. So when earned and payable, seller will pay broker, okay, X amount of dollars or percentage of the sales price, and that's it. There's no other provision for sharing of fees. Now, note to the seller paying buyer's expenses, okay? In addition to paying the above broker's fee, seller may be asked by a buyer to contribute an amount towards buyer's expenses, such as buyer's broker fees or other expenses payable by buyer under the sales contract. Okay, and it also says see paragraph 11F regarding broker's authority to disclose possible seller contributions. So that's basically saying whatever you decide as far as commissions and whether or not you're offering those commissions to outside brokers, the buyers may still ask. I think it's going to be rare that the buyers go this route. That's just my opinion. I think I have found that buyers fear rejection. Okay, when making offers in the marketplace, buyers don't want to be rejected. Okay, it's actually a natural thing everyone deals with. We don't want to be rejected. That's why when you see homes that have been lingering on the market for a long time, and the answer is the price is too high. Well, why hasn't that house sold? Well, most of the buyers that are looking at it think, oh, it's overpriced. Okay, so make a lower offer. No, they're not making a lower offer because they're scared of getting rejected. So if that naturally cures itself in the market, then this point that I'm making is moot and doesn't matter. However, I think it does matter because, in my estimation, buyers that have a buyer's agent that are shopping for homes, and they ask their buyer's agent, "Hey, is there a compensation offered on this property? Yes or no?" The buyer's agent makes the phone call to find out, and there's no compensation being offered. Well, the buyer may or may not want to go down that road. There's going to have to be something extremely different about your property or attractive about your property that would get them to decide, well, you know what, we're going to make an offer anyway and hope that they pay the commission. I think that's going to be in the minority of buyers for sure. Okay. So moving along, going down to paragraph 11. All right, now 11F, seller does or does not authorize broker to share with other brokers prospective buyers that seller will consider contributing an amount towards buyer's expenses. This is important because if you decide, okay, I don't want to offer buyer broker compensation, here you're telling your broker whether or not you want to share that information with anyone inquiring about the property. So if you're willing to possibly contribute towards buyer's expenses, then that's where you would check yes. If you're not willing to, then you would say no. This keeps your broker from saying, yeah, they might consider it or they might not. You got to decide which is best for you. So consider this: buyers calling in to find out about a property, and your broker says, well, no, they're not offering any compensation, or they haven't authorized me to discuss that. They may or may not continue to pursue the property. We don't know. It would just be up to the buyer and the buyer's agent whether they want to submit an offer anyway. The next form here is Residential Buyer Tenant Representation Agreement. This is a short form. This was created to answer the new rule that buyer's agents have to have a buyer agent agreement in place before even showing one house. And it's a single page form. It does alleviate that rule. However, it falls way short, in my opinion, of helping the buyers understand the process of buying real estate and really presenting a solid buyer to the sellers. It does talk about compensation and all that good stuff, intermediary, but there's a lot of missing stuff. You're going to see that in the next form here. It does not replace the long form. I can see some buyers agents skipping out on getting that long form signed and done. They should get that signed. I personally am going to continue with the long form because it is most informative to the buyers and gets them ready for the process, and in turn it wastes way less time for the seller because they have an informed buyer on the other end of the contract. You want an informed buyer. You want a buyer that has representation, in my opinion, because an uninformed buyer is going to be a dangerous buyer for the transaction and the sale of your property. Residential Buyer Tenant Representation Agreement, long form. So this is the long form, and I'm going to show you the reason you want this long form. We have some small changes here. Broker compensation, it goes into explaining again where the broker compensation comes from, how it's negotiable, broker fees when earned, where it's paid, purchases, percentage, dollar amount, source of compensation, So all the same stuff that was in the listing agreement, except it's now on the buyer side. Escrow authorization. This authorizes the escrow company and broker so they can instruct the escrow company to pay the commission. And also says where the commission is going to be paid. But the big thing for me here that I think is so valuable for the long form is the addenda that comes along with the contract. So that single contract does not have addenda that are attached. It may in the future, I don't know, but the addenda is where the biggest benefit that comes into the buyer, and as a byproduct, the seller. Information about brokerage services, mold remediation, consumer protection, information concerning property insurance, general information and notice to buyers and sellers, protect your family from lead in your home, information about special flood hazard areas, for your protection, get a home inspection, and wire fraud warning. So all these are addenda forms that would come with this contract that get explained before the buyer would actually view properties. Because the last thing you want to do is have your dinner interrupted, or having to leave the house over and over again for buyers that haven't been fully informed, especially if you own an older house, or you have situations in the property that have occurred that need to be disclosed, or the last thing you want is those situations to come up, or what's worse, get further into the process of selling your house, like the home inspection, and the buyer was uninformed about certain things that can happen with older homes, like lead-based paint, mold, mold can happen with just about any home, but lead-based paint, asbestos, so different little quirks that may come with your totally avoidable situation, not going under contract with a buyer that's uninformed. And they only get informed at the inspection, and then they say, well, shoot, I want to cancel the deal because I didn't know all this stuff existed. They would have known this stuff existed had they met with a buyer's agent and gone over all of these forms. That takes care of all that. And as a bonus, if they've gone through all of this, maybe they do go under contract with your home and are fully informed about the condition of an older property and what quirks come with that condition, and they decide, well, we're going to keep buying the house. We knew that there could be lead-based paint. We knew that there could be asbestos. We knew about all this stuff. We knew about aluminum wiring, and they continue to buy your home. So you want, as a seller, represented buyers on the other end of the deal, because they're going to be informed and they're not going to get scared off very easily when all these things come up on the home inspection, and they will. Okay, next form is addendum regarding broker's fees to contract concerning property at 123 ABC Street. This is a new form, and this one controls, addendum controls if any of this part addendum conflicts with a provision of the contract, this addendum will control. Okay, fees. So this talks about where the cash fees coming from. Listing broker fee shall be paid. Seller shall pay listing broker the fee specified in a separate written representation agreement between seller and listing broker. That was the first form we looked at. Other broker fees. Other broker fees will be paid as specified below, and buyer shall pay any remaining amount due to other broker under a separate written representation agreement between other broker and buyer. So we check all that apply. So basically, this is just letting the title company know where that money is coming from and who's paying what in those monies, and it's signed by both the buyer and the seller. Okay, it's part of the offer contract. Compensation agreement between brokers and owner, and this form is not new. It was called registration agreement between broker and owner. Namely, we use this one for off-market properties or for sale by owners. so that the buyer's broker has an agreement in place that if their client buys a property, X amount is going to be what they're paid for their services representing that client. Okay, so this one is just has some small changes to it, but the primary purpose of it is if you are the seller and you decide not to allow for the payment of buyer broker compensation through your listing broker, then later on decide, okay, we'll allow it because this offer came in, we like the offer, or we've changed our mind. This is the form that you would have filled out. And then seller's authorization to disclose and advertise certain information. This one here basically is allowing your broker to advertise, disclose certain sales terms, like seller is motivated, seller is willing to pay up to $10,000 in concessions. Those concessions, obviously, the buyer can use for, A, B, or C across the board. But this is authorizing the listing broker to say that. Seller is not obligated to pay this amount or any other amount unless seller agrees to such payment in sales contract. So this paragraph here is basically saying that yes, they can advertise it, but you as the seller are not married to it. It's only it's a advertising piece, but terms and conditions might apply, and those terms and conditions may change if you don't like the offer. So you're not promising, you're saying that you'll do certain things here, but you're not guaranteeing it because it's not a contract. This is just the authorization to advertise. So hopefully those forms made it a little bit easier for you to understand the importance of some of these contract changes and what they mean. You have options there with the commission and the buyer's agent side of the commission and what that means for you. If you start your listing out, offering compensation or not offering compensation, it may impact the speed and ability to get the house sold. So just consider all of those scenarios in before you list your property, and hopefully that helps you make that decision. So if you have any questions, you can reach me 210-260-6617. Be happy to go over it with you anytime. Have a great day.